Yeah, I still have no idea what that could be. And welcome back to Let's Play Silent Hill 4 The Room. Last time, we explored Apartment World, and unfortunately, that kinda ended in tragedy, as Eileen has been hospitalized. More pressingly, for our efforts to escape Room 302, the hole in the bathroom wall has sealed itself. We can no longer use it to go anywhere. So, we're kinda left at a loss here. What do you gotta say about your pictures, Henry? Those are mine when I was a kid and when I graduated. Nothing very interesting. It has less to say about those now than he did at the start of the game. This is South Ashfield Heights. Is there something screwy going on with this whole apartment building? I think it's safe to say that at this point. I got this photo from the superintendent, but there's nothing very interesting about it. Darn. Not every bit of text from Henry is going to be a winner. Anything on the radio? Unfortunately, no. I enjoy that last blare of radio static, because anytime you hear that going forward, well, it's going to be rather undesirable if it comes on when you turn the radio on. Now, remember early in the game when I said that the utility room is mostly not used for anything until much later in the game? Well, this is the point in the game where the utility room suddenly becomes relevant. You see this stain that appeared on the wall? Some kind of stain. Come to think of it, it also looks like an evil demon. And we just so happen to get a talisman with a symbol of a demon on it, specifically a succubus. Well, don't have any other leads, so you use the succubus talisman. Well, quick change. What does this say? What the hell? After he did the ritual of the Holy Assumption, other worlds began to force their way into his universe, and it began to swell horribly. But his universe is different than ours. It has limits. And in the limits of that universe, he rules as king. And in the deepest part of his kingdom is his mother. Now, you may notice that we've got these 4 indents here, and you can kind of make out symbols in them. That one on the bottom in particular. Hey, I wonder. You put the Chaos Placard in the Depression. This is the point in the game where the placards we've been collecting actually can be utilized. The Chaos Placard goes in here, the Temptress Placard goes over here, and finally the Source Placard we got for seeing Jasper die, that goes right here. And a brand new hole opens itself, and now we can explore the other world once more. But where will it possibly take us this time? The hole. Where will it lead to this time? Eileen. I wonder if she's okay. Enter the hole? Well, we've had no reason to refuse up until now. Well, we walked in on that creepy guy from South Ashfield Heights working on a cadaver. Been a little bit of an Easter egg there. That cadaver that he was reaching into the innards of, that was actually Claudia's model from Silent Hill 3. Bit of an interesting little bit of reused assets there. I didn't actually comment on this in Silent Hill 3, but the person you see getting eaten by the closer at the start of that game, that's actually Angela's character model being eaten there. Also, got a ton of Hummers in this area. Some of them start out on the floor, and, well, most of them start out on the floor, giving you a chance to stomp on some of them. But as you can see, they eventually get back up and start swarming you. If you have the bug spray at this point, it's a good time to use it, but I don't need it, so I might show it off later, but not right now. Let's head back into the room and see if that guy's still here. He is not, but there's a new type of enemy, the Patient Demon, and as you can hear, they have a bit of a strange sound effect that they play when they get hit. Yeah, I don't know why, but they decide to give them a belching sound effect whenever they get whacked. Not exactly the most terrifying thing in the world. They are pretty notorious for that, and there's one section in particular that will be coming up by the end of this video that is really infamous for how silly it ends up being. Now, that taken care of, let's start exploring this, well, it looks like we're in a hospital. There are a ton of rooms to explore here, several of which have some important things on. This is not one of the important things, but there's a little optional cutscene you can see if you examine this medical board. So, looks like a summary of Eileen's injuries, but it looks like she has deep lacerations and some potential bone breaks. Not too surprising given the condition that we saw her in, but it seems to imply that she's alive at the moment. Perhaps we'll find her. It's a nurse's memo. I lost Eileen Galvin's hospital room key. She was a patient brought in with severe injuries. I wonder if I left it in one of the other hospital rooms. I really hope not. This nurse's memo is hinting to, not really a puzzle, but the main challenge of this hospital area that we'll be seeing in the back half of it. This is actually a relatively short area, but it has a moment of fake longevity. Here we have a new weapon, the paper-cutting knife. The paper-cutting knife is a very fast weapon that has a quick 3-hit combo. And it also charges up super quickly, but it's not terribly strong. It's a popular weapon for one-weapon self-imposed challenges, which is something I will cover after we actually beat the game. Looping back around to here, we got a couple rooms that we want to check out. That quick scene here, drawing our attention to a woman's handbag. What's a woman's handbag doing here? It must be Eileen's. Take Eileen's bag? Well, sure, why not? Eileen's bag is an Eileen weapon. Now, we saw this in the previous video with the submachine gun, but if we were getting weapons for Eileen, it looks like perhaps Eileen will have a moment where she could possibly defend herself. Now, what could that imply? Anyways, Eileen's bag is a pretty useless item. I wouldn't really recommend stopping to pick it up. I'm just picking it up to show it off. One thing I neglected to mention with the submachine gun in the previous video is that the submachine gun is a brand new Fear exclusive item, and it has an unlock condition. You must have gotten at least one 9-star playthrough over the course of your brand new Fear cycles, or even just on your first cycle. 9 stars is actually much easier to get than it sounds like in this game, and it's actually a very useful weapon that I'll cover some of the unique aspects of it, and there are some things that might dissuade you from using it, but that is a false concern. I'll let you know why when we can actually cover it. Heading into this room, immediately get your weapon stance ready, start charging up, let these things close in on you, and then do a charge attack. Could not hit both of them there, but that's okay. Remember that your stomps, not only do they give you invincibility frames, they also are a one-hit kill on any enemy that you get them on. Enemies can be stomped repeatedly in this game, like in Silent Hill 3, but stomps will always finish them off. We're going to have more reasons to get into combat at this point in this game, so it's pretty important to know this stuff. Here we've got an ampule, one of 2 ampules in the game. This is the absolute rarest the ampule has ever been in the series. Now, like all other healing items, it's had its effectiveness reduced, but it still has its primary effect. In addition to restoring a very, very large amount of your health, like 60% of it, it also gives you HP regen for a time, so any damage you take will be healed off by the regenerative effect of the ampule. Very powerful, and usually something people save for the final fight of the game, but if you're ever in a situation where you feel like you need its healing, don't be afraid to use it. Speaking of healing, portable medical kit. Game's being awfully generous with healing items all of a sudden. It's a baby's medical chart. Weird. There's one other room that we want to check out here. This room between the 2 doors. This one has a portal in it. And I'm going to go back to the apartment real quick just to drop off some of my items, so be right back. Alright, here we are back in the hospital world. Let's continue onward. Now, any door that I'm not checking, you can safely assume doesn't have anything behind it, and there's not anything terribly interesting in other rooms, so let's just... I'm pretty sure I checked all the rooms that actually can be accessed. Let's just get into the way to move forward. This door leads to a stairwell. You probably saw that elevator on the bottom floor, but it is inaccessible, so we can't actually use it. Now, heading into this area right here, we find ourselves in a long hallway. You want to step back, and it's probably for calling the elevator. Should I press the button? Now, this button for the elevator actually does work, and it calls the elevator. We want to do this real quick, just to save some time later. Now, if you look down this hallway, you'll see we've got a bit of a Scooby-Doo door segment to go through here. This hallway is unique. It'll always have this long layout with many doors on each side, but the actual contents of each room is randomized on each playthrough. Now, every potential room will be covered. It's just the order you'll go into them will always be random on each new playthrough you do, so it's going to take a bit of time to get through this. So some of the rooms have items in them, some of them just have enemies in it, like this room. We got some toadstools here, no supplies in here. 2 of the rooms we actually need to explore to advance. Also, it took a little bit of damage there, that's annoying. It's not a big deal, though. I can just heal it off at the apartment later, and, kind of like the trap from the Borley Haunted Mansion in Silent Hill 3, although thankfully this one you don't have to crouch to avoid. So yeah, the layout of this hallway, the actual contents of the rooms will be randomized each time you play. Hey, one of the better ones starting out. We get a Saint's Medallion here. To actually complete this section, we need to find a key, and hey, that's actually pretty lucky, we found it pretty early. This is a locked door. If you remember, the nurse's memo said the key to Eileen's room was lost, so perhaps that's Eileen's room? Means she hasn't escaped from the other world. Here we get our first pack of revolver bullets. You do not get very many of these in the game. They come in values of 6, so that is actually something that does not change between playthroughs. The revolver always holds 6 bullets, and the ammo packs are always worth 6. Here we get some pistol bullets, shoring up our ammunition reserves, always a nice thing. Heading into this room right here. Ooh, this room just has Hummers in it, just ignore it. Now, like I said, not every room actually has items in it. Some of them just have some creepy scenery for you to enjoy. What's this? There are a bunch of x-ray pictures stuck up on the board. Are these Eileen's x-rays? Looks like just a less detailed version of the medical board we saw earlier. Now, one nice thing about this room, or this hallway, is you notice all the ghostly wheelchairs, the ghost of Hector Salamanca rolling back and forth through the hallway. Fortunately, when you first enter the hallway, you have a brief grace period of invincibility where the wheelchairs can't knock you over. And that's good, because these wheelchairs actually do a ton of damage, so be mindful, and always quickly move between rooms so you're not taking damage from them. What do we got here? Hey! This is the key we're looking for. We got the hospital room key. But, uh-oh, we're trapped. Hospital room key. Key found in the hospital. It's probably the key to Eileen's hospital room. Henry's on the same genre-savvy level of thinking track that we are on, but fortunately this key also opens up this cage. Now we have all the items we need to actually leave the area, or rather all the knowledge we need. We know where Eileen's room is, and we have her room key. However, let's explore the rest of these rooms. One item in particular I really, really want to pick up before we get out of here. You guys hear something? Hello. Well, I'm not going to pay that any mind. Goodbye, giant Eileen head. Perhaps it's a bit of revenge for Henry's incessant voyeurism earlier. Just some patient monsters in there. We can ignore them. There's another pack of handgun bullets for us to pick up. What's this? Oh man, that stinks like hell. What the hell is it? More things that I'd rather not realize what they are. There's a health drink to pick up, but one item in particular... oh, another patient demon. We can ignore her. One item in particular, very important going forward in the game, and we want to get as many of them as possible. What's in this room? Terrible smell. What's behind this cloth? I do not want to look behind that. It does not look like that person's in very good condition anymore. Heading into this room, looks like there's another item. I am thankful for Henry's head bobs. Man, another nutrition drink. This game's just being so generous with the healing items all of a sudden. It was so stingy with them earlier. What's in here? What the hell? I can see legs coming out from the bottom of the cloth. That's Danny. At least I'm assuming it is. Certainly similar circumstances to what Danny found himself into. Alright, just more toadstools in this room, safely ignorable. Yeah, I'm thankful for that grace period of invincibility after you open the door. Heading into this room, hey, this is the other critical item to collect, the Holy Candle. What does this do? Well, it's a special candle with anti-spirit effects, of course. Begins working shortly after being lit and placed down. Now, the Holy Candle has two effects. One that you could potentially put to very... well, not necessarily immediate use, but if we were to deal with them, if you place a holy candle at the feet of a ghost victim, it rapidly deals damage to them, and if you trap them in place by just hitting them repeatedly, the damage from the holy candle can cause them to collapse and be ready for an sort of obedience pin very quickly. But there's one other effect that it has, and it's going to be absolutely crucial if you want to get the good endings of this game, which we'll be covering that when it becomes relevant. Alright, pistol bullets. That is all the items that we need to collect in this area, but there is one more, or two more rooms for us to check out here. Alright, heading into this room. Let's see. The glass is broken. I can see someone on the other side of the wire net, but they're not moving. Is it a dead body? Well, probably not the craziest assumption in the world to make, but doesn't look like there's too much else in here. One last room to check out here. What's with these wires? This long thing. What the hell is it? Some kind of umbilical cord? Well, thanks for spoiling the symbolism, Henry, but yes, it looks like we've got a row of umbilical cords. Alright, let's get out of here. So, now that we've checked out every room, we can go to Eileen's room. Just quickly run and keep a good width from the wheelchairs, because like I said, they deal tons of damage, and if you find yourself getting knocked over repeatedly, you'll very quickly find yourself in a situation where you die. Alright, we use up the hospital room key. Let's go on in and see Eileen. Alright, Eileen, I know you're not exactly feeling your greatest right now, but I'm gonna need you to get up.
Eileen! Eileen, relax!
Henry? For room next door. What are you doing here?
I don't know where to start. There was this strange hole in my room. I saw people getting killed. All these weird other worlds. And I saw you get attacked too.
What are you talking about? I'm supposed to believe that?
But it's true. And there was a kid with you.
I remember now. I was getting ready to go to my friend's party. The boy protected me from the man with the coat. I'm sorry I didn't believe you. I guess there's something wrong with me. I just feel so scared. This place. Where is it anyway?
I don't know either. But I do know that if you get killed here, then you die in the real world too. Anyway, the only way out of here is through that hole.
Okay. Okay, take me with you.
Eileen is a little shocked and disoriented, perhaps understandably so, but with that scene concluded, we now formally start the second half of the game, and probably the most contentious portion of the game. As you can see, for the rest of the game, Eileen is going to be following us. Eileen is critically injured, and she cannot move very quickly, so she is not quite so capable of defending herself. Additionally, we do not actually have any way to directly exert control over Eileen.
Nightmare. Can't be happening.
Eileen occasionally has little comments like that to make, but yes, we do not have any way to directly exert control over her. She just follows behind, and there is one thing you can do to influence her behavior, but otherwise, you just have to be very mindful about protecting her. Now, one thing I will let you know, to reassure you, Eileen cannot die from being attacked by enemies. That does not mean there aren't negative effects from her getting attacked, but she cannot die. So, as far as the standard problem that people have with escort missions, that's not a concern in this game. This is actually a bit of an unfortunate room to have Eileen in for exiting, because we get those patients right there. Fortunately, I was able to guide them down the hallway and just easily stomp them. Now, a couple things to note about Eileen is that when she first joins you, there's a bit of a grace period where she won't take any damage. It's about 12 hits up until a certain point where that invincibility goes away and she will start accruing damage. Additionally, there is friendly fire with Eileen, but as long as Henry is locked onto an enemy like he is now, any attacks that happen to hit Eileen won't deal any damage to her. Other things to note is that, by and large, most enemies don't actually focus on Eileen. They will ignore her and go after Henry. There are a handful that do, namely Twin Victims, Gumheads, and Hummerbirds will focus on Eileen. Otherwise, any other enemy you can expect to encounter, they will set their sights on Henry and largely ignore her. Additionally, Eileen only takes damage from enemies if they actually strike her. She can be bumped by enemies, which will cause her to stumble, but as long as it wasn't an actual attack that connected, she doesn't take any damage. Now, when Eileen is following you, she needs to be within a certain distance of you to actually travel through doors with you. If you go too far ahead of her and then go through a door, she will not follow behind you. And this can have negative effects, because Eileen will take damage whenever she's left alone in a room. If there are no enemies in the room, it's a very, very small amount of damage, and based on certain factors, can actually be no damage at all. But if you leave her alone in a room that has an enemy in it, she takes an enormous amount of damage. Now, what does the damage to Eileen actually affect if she can't die? Well, the more damaged Eileen becomes, the more influenced by the other world she will become. She'll begin to become possessed and begin to behave like the ghost victims. In fact, she will actually start to react to the Saint's Medallion if she is damaged and corrupted enough. This can cause all sorts of problems because it'll take an already slow character and make her slow you down even more, causing you to have to wait for her to collect herself when you inevitably need her to move on, because you cannot advance past certain points without Eileen in tow. But we'll cover that when we get to it. First order of business is to get her to the hole and hopefully get her the heck out of here. Here we've got a couple patients start closing in on us. You want to make sure you stun them with the axe strikes while buffering a charge. We'll stomp this one, and okay, that one's actually not coming towards us, so let's just go to the center door here. Fortunately, the patients, they have a very long wind-up before they actually start going to town with their pipes, and unlike other enemies we've encountered up to this point, the patient monsters actually reset their position when you leave a room, so you don't have to worry about them crowding the door and going to town on Eileen when you return. The patients do have one other attack that's somewhat threatening. If you get in close to them before they start winding up, occasionally they'll just do a quick forearm strike with their pipe that actually does pretty nasty damage. It comes out super quick, so be mindful of that. But let's take Eileen into the hole and at least give her a break at room 302 for a little bit and restore some of our health here. We took we didn't really take that much damage, but every little bit to heal off is always good. All right, Eileen, let's go. What the heck? Where's Eileen? What was that sound? Hey. Wait a second. My health. It's not regenerating. Something's not right here, but Eileen did look strangely reluctant to go into the hole, like she didn't even realize it was there or something, and she did not return to room 302 with us. But what was that sound? It sounded like glass breaking. The air in this room feels heavy. Well, there seems to be our culprit. The ceiling fan has fallen down. The room, it's so oppressive. And with that, the ceiling fan has fallen off of Henry's ceiling, and the restorative effect of room 302 is no more. We do not get any more healing from room 302 for the rest of the game. Take note of behind this shelf right here. Let's turn on the radio. That's weird. It's on, but it's not blaring static. Also, it doesn't look like Henry is too keen on examining a lot of the items in the apartment anymore. Okay, so that has the same text, but yeah, so at this point in the game, perhaps I should say this is where the second half truly starts, because this is where the game starts to get a lot more difficult. No longer will you get your health restored when you return to room 302. You are now reliant on health restoratives found throughout the game world. Fortunately, the game, as you saw, starts to get a lot more generous with these, but you now have a limited amount of healing, and you can easily run yourself dry if you're not careful, so we've got to be very, very mindful of how much we use our items. I'm gonna change up my inventory a little bit here. First off, we're going to take that submachine gun with us. Second of all, we want to make sure we have that Fresh Saints medallion. We also want to take a Sword of Obedience, because we're going to be using this in the very near future. I also want to grab my handgun real quick. I can store these bullets since I won't need them. And there's one other item we want to get. One that you wouldn't expect we'd need, but we will need it in a moment. The Lynch Street Line Coin. What could we possibly need this for? Well, wait, and you shall see. One other order of business, and you can't actually re-enter the hole until you check this. You may have noticed there's an envelope under the door. It's a red envelope. There's a letter and a small key inside. You've seen that world as well, that horrible nightmare. But if you get sucked into it, it's not just a nightmare. Don't get lost in there. If you get pulled in, you'll be killed. But there's still hope. Maybe this small key will guide you. If you've seen the door with the placard set in it, look on the other side of the door, then keep going down to the deepest part of him, and look for the ultimate truth. July 20th, Joseph. Formal confirmation that these letters are being written by Joseph, although I have to imagine you'd be pretty dense if you hadn't figured that out by now. Small but ordinary key found in the red envelope. So, that key is actually for the gate beyond the elevator that we called. You may have noticed that the actual chute for the elevator had opened up and there was a grated floor we could walk on. The door that's past that was locked and we need this small key for it. Also, after we check that envelope, a bunch of papers suddenly appear. How long has it been since I left this room? I can't tell if it's been days or hours. But during that time, they found the body of 1421. I've been having hallucinations lately. I think I'm losing my mind. No date written. Joseph seems to have been losing sense of himself, just like Henry was. Looks like a scrap from a diary. Walter Sullivan did kill himself. He died in his prison cell of blood loss after he stabbed himself in the neck with a spoon. His body was burned in a cemetery just outside his hometown of Silent Hill in an unmarked grave. After that, his name became famous all over the world, and it looked like his string of mass murders was finished at 10 out of 21. But 3 years later, they found a corpse that had 1221 carved into it. The corpse was from 6 months earlier. In other words, the person was killed 2.5 years after Sullivan committed suicide. The MO was exactly the same as Sullivan's, except for one thing. All 10 of Sullivan's victims were found with their hearts cut out and their chest wounds sewn together expertly with thread. On the other hand, the 1221 victims still had their heart. Naturally, the police think it's a copycat and are proceeding on that basis, but they haven't made any progress, and the recently discovered victim number 13... they recently discovered victim number 13. This corpse also had their heart intact. The police still haven't even identified a suspect. I've got a working hypothesis. Very few people knew the details of the original crimes and would be able to copy Sullivan's MO so precisely. First, I'll head to Silent Hill, to the graveyard near that beautiful little lake. Maybe I'll find the answer there. June 11th. Doing a little intense investigative journalism there. The weather that day was very strange. Even though I avoided the earlier storm, there was still a thick fog clinging to everything. Fortunately, that allowed me to avoid being seen and get right to work. The police are still stubbornly acting as if it's just a copycat case, so I figured things probably hadn't been touched here, but I was wrong. I should have come sooner. The cemetery was in such bad condition that it was almost sad. The storm must have raised the sea level. Anyway, that's how it was when I found Walter Sullivan's grave. This diary is pretty damaged around this point, and I can't read anymore. I'm still in shock. There was no body in the grave. And on top of that, written on the coffin were the numbers 1121, June 14th. Hey! That's like that coffin we saw in the forest. Things are starting to get a lot more interesting. Anything outside the peephole? Doesn't look like it. Unfortunately, at this point in the game, there are not too many random events involving the peephole, but that's not to say there aren't random events within the apartment itself. Oh no, that does not to imply that at all. Alright, let's catch up with Eileen.
Henry. Oh.
Have you been here the whole time?
Yeah? And I didn't see any hole either. You just disappeared all of a sudden. I can't stay here by myself. I'll be cursed. I know it. What am I gonna do?
I might know a way to save you. Do you know about someone named Joseph?
Yeah. He was the guy who lived in your apartment before you. I think he was a journalist or something. He disappeared about 6 months before you moved in. But toward the end, he started acting really weird.
Yeah. He was doing an investigation about a religious cult and a man named Walter Sullivan. I got this letter from him. He told me to go down into the deepest part of him, and to look for the ultimate truth. Let's do that. There must be something down there.
Okay. I'll do it. You're the only chance I've got. I'll stick with you.
Eileen clearly thinks Henry's talking a little crazy here, and to be honest, we don't really have much to go on, but we can presume that the other world we're in and Walter Sullivan are effectively one and the same. This domain is simply an extension of himself, and we need to get to the deepest part of it. Now, we've got a submachine gun. It's an Eileen weapon. Eileen can use this, and it is her most effective weapon by a mile, but there is a certain reason you might not want to use it, although let me assure you, this is not a concern at all, so don't worry about this, but let's test it out on this patient right here. So, yeah, there we go. As you can see, the patient is not exactly doing too well against that. Eileen just absolutely tore that thing to shreds. Now, one thing to note about the submachine gun is that for as long as Eileen is holding it, her visual condition will start to worsen. However, you should not concern yourself with this. Though the submachine gun may look like it's damaging Eileen by using it, that is actually what's known as fake possession. It is possession damage that will gradually heal off with time, so you don't need to worry about that. And it's a very effective weapon if you have it, so absolutely if you're going for a 10.2 star run, then you should probably pick it up and let Eileen use it in some moments, because it can help out a ton and save a lot of time in certain sections. Now, we can use the small key on this gate here. This is why we called the elevator earlier. And let's start making our way down the staircase. We're going to have 3 patients moving into our position here. You want to get to this, large step here, because as you hit the patients, they will begin to slide down the stairs. If they land on this big step, they will stay in place and you can stomp them. Also, yes, they do belch for every stair that they fall down. Alright, so let's start buffering up a charge attack here. Get to her side so that she lands on the big step. Fortunately, Eileen did not get hit there. There we go. Handled expertly. Like I said though, if Eileen gets hit at this point, don't concern yourself with that. When she first joins, again, she has a grace period where she does not take any damage. Ever downward. So I'm guessing this will lead us to the route we need to take to get to the bottom. And we find ourselves in a massive staircase, and rather foggy at that, too. Pretty dilapidated. Now, to get down this most effectively, you kind of want to approach it like this. Just have Henry sort of run into the wall like this and make sure Eileen is following on the center of the stairs. This will allow them to keep pace with each other since Henry is getting slowed down a little bit, and Eileen is staying in the center. Eileen is kind of programmed to take the most direct route to Henry possible. Also, that little middle section there, that leads to a portal that goes back to the apartment. So just check it out right here. As you can see, nothing on the other side, but if you go through it, you will end up back in the apartment. We don't want to go in that yet. If Eileen happens to get caught up on something, she'll stop to adjust her position, so it's most effective to kind of move like this so that she's constantly moving, because if you just go on ahead of her, she'll get stuck repeatedly trying to take the most direct path to Henry and end up taking longer there. I'm gonna pull out the handgun real quick. There's just one particular thing that I brought this for, and it's not for the reason most people would suspect that I'm bringing it for. We're not even gonna see that in this video. We want to head a little bit ways into this next area because there's something important for us to grab in the apartment, but it doesn't actually spawn in until we enter the next area. Heading into here, we've got another holy candle. Hey, lucky. Those ghosts are going to be no problem for us. Alright, heading out through here. It's a locked door. Where could this possibly take us? Well, we find ourselves back in the subway. Yes, we're at the area from the start of the game, and I brought this handgun here purely for this gumhead in this hallway. He gets sent flying with the rusty axe, and it takes forever to kill them with it. On the other hand, we can just shoot him with 6 handgun bullets. One thing to note about area transitions where there isn't a door to go through, like so. If you go on ahead of Eileen, she'll still keep following you, because there isn't any door to block her from getting to you. Now, here we are at the restrooms again. Let's head into the men's room first. When we checked this out previously, there wasn't anything to grab in here. Did I check this out previously? I forget if I checked this out previously. But if we had, there would be nothing to grab. Now, though, there's a health drink for us. I'm sorry, nutrition drink. Gotta get my terminology correct. And that is all we need from there. Let's leave the men's room and head into the women's room, because we need to head into the portal and go back to the apartment at this point. This is kind of annoying, but an item that you need to grab, once you enter the subway again, it appears in the apartment. So let's just go save ourselves some time by grabbing it now.
Still alive.
Yeah, sometimes Eileen just randomly talks. Apologies if I talk over her. There's no way to predict when she's going to say a line like that. Also, I'm glad she actually knew exactly who Henry was talking about when he just offhandedly mentioned a Joseph. Totally not a ridiculously common name. Alright, so, returning to the apartment, there is the very, very strong potential that something will be waiting for us here. Perhaps I shouldn't spoil things, though. Well, let's get up and see what happens. Alright. Looks like the bedroom is normal. Let's go into the living room. Alright, that's unusual. Usually there's something that is awaiting you. Oh, nope, there is. We've got static on the radio again. Hey. Where'd my shoes go? Huh. I'm getting a very bad feeling all over. Ah! What the? The shoes? I wonder. The bad feeling is getting weaker. It must be this medallion. Now, this is our first of the apartment hauntings. In addition to the apartment no longer restoring health when you return to it, we will now have to deal with hauntings periodically. Hauntings, if you are in their presence, will deal damage to you, much like the passive damage that the victim ghosts deal with you. There are 2 methods you can deal with them. You can equip a Saint's Medallion and stand in the presence of the haunting until it is purged, or, more effectively than that, you can walk up to it and place a holy candle. The bad feeling is getting weaker. It must be this candle. But the candle will eventually weather the haunting down, making its influence on the area weaker, and, with time, the haunting will disappear entirely, and Henry's shoes are back to their designated position. But yes, the radio actually has a function now. It will no longer play news stories for us, but if the static is blaring from it, that means there's a haunting in the apartment. So be mindful of that. Heading over here. Hey, what's this filthy envelope? There's a letter and a toy key inside. Mommy, I give you this, so please wake up soon. It's inside my toy train. You got the kid's letter, and we got the toy key. You'll need this item in Subway World, so be sure to grab it. What do we got here? Another piece of red paper. I found two mysterious and powerful artifacts that seem to be very effective for evading the ghost victims, the Holy Candle and the Saint Medallion. Not only are they effective against the ghost victims in the other world, they also seem to prevent them from invading my room. Just light the candle near where they're coming in, and its holy power is activated. The Saint Medallion seems to repel unholy energy when it's worn, equipped. I'm starting to gain some hope. July 25th. There's the game explaining the mechanics of hauntings for you. Now, generally, if you have them, and you absolutely will have them, you want to use holy candles to deal with apartment hauntings. You get way more of those than saint medallions, and saint medallions have actual protective properties that help you within the actual game world, so you definitely want to keep those as fresh as possible for when you need them. We're going to store this nutrition drink. We're going to store the gun. I literally only wanted it to take out that gum head so Eileen could get past it uncontested. Like I said, gum heads are one of the handful of enemies in the game that actually focus on Eileen if she goes past them. Take the holy candle here. We're not going to be using this one for an apartment haunting. We're actually going to be using this one on a ghost victim, and it'll be used to great effect there. But that is where we're going to leave this video. When we come back, we will return to Subway World and see what awaits us there and see if we can't actually reach the deepest depths of the worlds of Walter Sullivan. Until next time, goodbye.